As the dust settles on week 8 of the college football season, where do the playoff picture rankings currently stand? Notice I said playoff picture rankings. This is not a prediction. This is not where the bracket would stand, but this is a picture as to how I believe the college football playoff rankings when it comes to at-large bids could look. All right, so we'll talk about this in a little bit more depth right now, but make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel, man. Hurt my heart a little bit saying week 8 of the college football season is behind us because, like, y'all, don't look now, we're about 2/3 the way through the regular season. Let's cherish this. Let's make every single fall Saturday count, all right? So make sure you're subscribed to make every fall Saturday count. We appreciate you in advance for being dialed in. Also, get at me on the socials, at JD Pickell, Instagram and Twitter. Let me know what your playoff picture rankings would look like. So a couple of disclaimers before we jump into these rankings. First, these are similar to how the college football playoff reveal show would work, I imagine. Obviously, there's going to be 4 conference champs that get a bye to the first round of the college football playoff. Those will be your seeds 1 through 4. However, the way that I have this ranked is not accounting for those conference champions. This is just how I think the top teams in America are right now, 1 through 12. Now at 12, we're going with a G5 team. So it's not the top 12 teams exactly. It's top 11 plus who we think that best G5 team is right now. One more disclaimer, because I know we're going to get a lot of comments about it. I do not think a Big 12 team right now is in the top 11 of the best teams in college football. If you push back on that, no issue with it. For me right now, the Big 12 rep that would obviously be in the college football playoff by nature of winning the conference is Iowa State. So that's the only, disclaimer I want to make about teams not on this top 12 list for us right now. So for the Big 12, it's Iowa State, unbeaten, staying unbeaten, beating UCF yesterday. Iowa State, our Big 12 rep, they obviously would be in the college football playoff. But let's start at 12. 12 is our G5 rep. Boise State, they were on a bye this week. Their only loss to a pretty highly ranked Oregon, we'll talk about more later on this list, by 3 points on the road. Like, Ashton Genty's a creative player. He is currently my leader in the clubhouse for the Heisman Trophy. They got UNLV this week on a Friday. You go to UNLV. That will be for pole position in the Mountain West. You could make a case for Army. You can make a case for Navy in terms of that G5 rep. Right now, though, from what I've seen so far, that litmus test against Oregon, even with the loss, with it being by 3 points, Boise State, to me, is the favorite right now to be the college football playoff rep for the G5. So there are G5/12 on this playoff picture rankings after week 8. At number 11, how about Tennessee, man? The Vols, man. I'm pretty sure there's cigar smoke still swirling around Neyland Stadium this morning, and God bless them, man. Statement win over Alabama. Here's the thing. Didn't play near your best football. Nowhere near. 3 turnovers in the first half. Nico Iamaleava, as gifted as he is, throws for less than 200 yards. It didn't matter. Still won the football game. Gritty outfit. Ran the ball. Dylan Sampson is a dude. Toting the mail for you, over 100 yards yet again on the ground. Imposed your will on Bama offensively and defensively. Tennessee, they're at 11 this week. They're going to be in the mix now. They are in the mix because you got one of the ones that you needed, that you circled preseason, between Bama and Georgia. Keep an eye on Tennessee. Even if they drop one more somewhere along the way here, depending on which one it is, I think a 10-2 Tennessee with a win over Alabama would help the resume quite a bit, at least make it a conversation. But obviously, if they went out the rest of the way, they're in the dance. At number 10, a team that we haven't talked about nearly enough on this program, Indiana. The Fighting Curt Cignettis, baby. I mean, if you weren't on notice, yesterday you were on notice now. Throttled Nebraska. A game that I picked Nebraska to win. Indiana has, one, never lost. That's first off. Second, they never trailed. So we'll see what they are as they play some more formidable competition the rest of the way. But Indiana, let's say they drop the game to Ohio State. Are they in the dance? Probably. I think they deserve to be. So Indiana, they're a wagon. Proved it again yesterday. They feel a lot to me like what Washington was last year. Are they the same? No, but I just think kind of the vibe of kind of quiet, under the radar. People expect them to eventually turn back into a pumpkin, and they just keep on reeling off wins. So Indiana at 10 for us this week in our playoff picture rankings. At number 9, the LSU Tigers. And I get Coach O's not the coach there anymore, but Brian Kelly is, and he's got them playing their best football right now, rounding into form. After beating Ole Miss at home, you're like, okay, well, where are they now? They go to Fayetteville and they play Arkansas for a bye, and we'll see what they are. LSU did not flinch, handled business. That defense now looking very LSU-ish, okay? Whit Weeks is a baller. Caden Durham on the offensive side of the football, that young back for them, he is the secret ingredient to make that whole thing go. When he runs the football the way he did, like the way he did yesterday, over 100 yards on the ground, everything else opens up. Like a finance bro with a company card. The whole menu is available if you're LSU offensively. Don't look now. They control their destiny in the SEC. And I think, obviously, by that nature, they control their destiny in the college football playoff at 9 this week. At number 8, I got Miami. Undefeated, and the fact that you were able to avoid a letdown spot in a competitively low gas tank spot going on the road to Louisville off a bye after 2 difficult spots against Vautech and Cal, and to still find a way to win, score 50 points. Y'all, with Cam Ward, they have an ain't no telling factor. Like, does Miami have every single matchup you need every single game? No. Not against, the Georgias and the Texas of the world. You would think, at least, that those teams would have some matchups that they like, but y'all, they got Cam Ward. And as long as they got Cam Ward, they're going to be a problem in every single football game. And they have been a problem in every single football game. And y'all, to be real here, even if Miami drops a game, I don't think it matters. Because I think they'll get up off the canvas. If they do lose a game, throw haymakers, get to Charlotte, and have more than a decent chance to ultimately win the ACC and be in the college football playoff. But for us this week, there's no win that you really hang your hat on when it comes to a ranked win to say, okay, this is us, this is Miami, but still, man, undefeated, hard to argue with it. They're at number 8 this week. At number 7, I got A&M. Texas A&M is unbeaten in the SEC. Everyone wants to talk about the Notre Dame game week 1. It was week 1, so, put that sort of in a separate category, if you will. They also body bagged a top 10 Missouri by 30 points the other week, so take that into account. And you beat Mississippi State yesterday. Not in the most convincing fashion that you would have hoped, but still Mississippi State also pushed Georgia a little bit the week before, so I don't think Mississippi State is overall just a slouch of an operation. You got LSU next week at the crib. Season-defining kind of vibe to it for A&M. A&M also, like I just mentioned, unbeaten in the SEC, they control their own destiny too. So that's going to be a battle of controlling your own destiny, and I cannot wait to see Mike Elko and getting his team ready to play in that spot. The defensive line for A&M, to me, is that secret sauce. The physical line of scrimmage brand of football they're playing, both offensively and defensively, is what makes them a difficult out. There's an identity now in College Station. Speaking of identity, man, Clemson, they're rolling. Their identity right now is we score points. Scored over 40 yet again yesterday over Virginia. Clemson just continuing to kind of just chug along, man. Their only loss to Georgia. I think Clemson's going to be right there at the end of this thing as well. The ACC, I'd be wildly surprised if we did not get Miami and Clemson at the end there in Charlotte. And honestly, I think we could see a situation where both make the college football playoff. That's the way that Clemson's playing right now. Garrett Riley, Cade Klubnik, they're cooking. That defense, I think when it's time to play winning, big winning football, they will be there. And the Tigers for us at number 6 this week. At number 5, Penn State. Off a bye. That win over USC, while you would have liked to make it a little less interesting the week before, still, a win is a win, and you'll take a win any way you get it. You got your fans trolling the opposition, run out of the tunnel, paying good money to do so. And God bless Penn State, man. They got Wisconsin on the road this upcoming week. And then you got Ohio State at the crib. That Ohio State game, you circle, underline, star. You already had it, probably highlighted and then some in different colors. But that's the game now where we check the chops of Penn State. But y'all, even if Penn State drops the game to Ohio State and wins out, they should, and I believe will, be in the college football playoff. All right, so Penn State at number 5 this week in our playoff picture rankings. At 4, I got Texas. Yes, they lost to Georgia. We think very highly of Georgia, and I don't think that anything that we believed about Texas going into this game is now somehow untrue. Didn't have the game you needed to have against a really talented Georgia defense. Your Texas defense, quite frankly, played pretty well, I think, good enough to win the game in different spots. Offense has got to find a way to capitalize on those turnovers, obviously. But at the end of the day, I'm not here thinking that, oh, man, we were wrong about Texas. Still one of the best rosters in college football. I still believe one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And we'll see what they do this week on the road at Vandy. Classic Georgia to Vandy stretch. Ask Bama about that one. It can be a little bit tricky. So we'll see how Texas responds from a loss this following week as they go to Nashville. At number 3, I got Georgia. You could make a case for them being number 1, honestly. Like, they have the best win in college football right now. The Bama loss for me, I'm still going to say, okay, we'll put you at 3 this week. That's where we put you right now. But, Georgia, surprise, surprise, back against the wall. The Kirby Smart special, should have seen it coming. Hand up. We didn't, at least. Georgia beating Texas definitively. With Carson Beck throwing 3 interceptions, it was vintage, complimentary Georgia football, getting it done. And y'all, I'm just saying this now. Yet again, Kirby Smart and his team will play their best football as we round into the final stretch of this season and as we jump into the college football playoff. God bless whoever sees them in the college football playoff, whether it be after they get a bye or whether they see them in round 1, whatever it looks like. Georgia in a tournament setting will be a problem. Go ahead and bookmark that one. Ohio State at 2 for us. They have a 1-point loss to who we have at number 1 on this list. So that should tell you how high we think of, how highly we think of Ohio State. I really do think it comes down to, obviously, can Will Howard sustain what he did against Oregon? That's one. I think you saw it against Oregon, which is massive. The performance he had encourages you because you know it's there. You know he can play at the championship level that he needs to play at. The defense is why he didn't beat Oregon. So the defense now, multiple NFL players all over that thing, especially in the secondary. Got to ramp it up. Got to play your best football when it's required. Pretty straightforward, but Ohio State's still one of the best rosters in college football. I think there's still going to be a wagon the rest of the way here, and I would be surprised if we don't see them play Oregon again in the Big Ten championship game. Heck, could see Ohio State. Another conversation for another time. The Big Ten's madness. I'll leave it at that. Big Ten is madness, but the team that they very well could play again in the Big Ten title game, as I alluded to, is Oregon. They're number 1 for us this week, and they are starting to look like the Oregon that we talked about on this show before the year, that the preview magazines talked about before the year, that a lot of the College Game Day crew talked about before the year as being that team that could win a national title. Y'all, they're rounding into Final Four. What they did against Ohio State was impressive, and that was why we have them at 1. However, being able to respond on a short week on the road against the Spoilermakers and to make it look pretty simple. It wasn't a perfect game. There's no such thing as a college football, a perfect college football game. But still, to shut out a team on the road and to have the offense continue to roll how they're rolling now. Dylan Gabriel is operating at a high level, and Oregon, I think, is the best team in college football based on their resume, being unbeaten, and that win over Ohio State, obviously, a nice feather in the cap and going to boost the resume a whole heck of a lot for Oregon as they round down the final stretch as well of the college football season. So, our playoff picture rankings, to recap it for you. Our Big 12 rep that did not make this top 12, but would obviously be in the college football playoff, because we think they're the best team in the Big 12, is Iowa State. So they're kind of they're noted there in the asterisk. But our G5 rep, the 12 seed, Boise State, UNLV is going to tell us a lot about them. Tennessee at 11, statement win over Bama. Indiana at 10, never lost, never trailed. LSU at 9, controlling their own destiny. Miami still unbeaten at number 8. A&M, unbeaten in the SEC. They're at number 7. Clemson at 6. Penn State at 5. Texas, we're not dogging Texas just because they lost to Georgia. No pun intended, but they're at 4. Georgia at 3. Ohio State at 2. Oregon at 1. If you feel strongly that Georgia should be number 1, I don't have a war to go to with you about that. Like, I think Georgia's really good, but this whole thing is going to come out in the wash. And this college football playoff picture is going to be madness here as we get more and more data going forward. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Make sure you are subscribed. We love college football, the greatest sport on the face of the planet. We appreciate y'all enjoying it with us. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.